I used to think marriage was a two-player game. Turns out my wife's been playing co-op with a different controller for months. The first clue should have been when Kathy started going to girls' nights every Tuesday and Thursday. My wife, who used to complain that her friends were basic bitches who only talk about their kids, was suddenly desperate for their company. She'd come home at midnight smelling like expensive cologne that definitely wasn't mine, claiming they'd been at some new wine bar downtown. "You're overthinking, Ben," she'd say, not even looking up from her phone. "Maybe you should get a hobby." A hobby. Right. Like my hobby wasn't already trying to figure out why my wife of 6 years had suddenly developed an interest in yoga pants that cost more than my car payment and sports bras that she wore to the grocery store. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'm Ben Foster, 37, IT consultant for a mid-sized firm downtown. I fix computers and networks for people who think turning it off and on again is rocket science. It's honest work, pays the bills, and gives me plenty of time to notice when my wife starts acting like she's auditioning for a reality show. Kathy Foster, 34, marketing executive, has always been ambitious. But lately, her ambition seemed focused on everything except our marriage. She'd started working out obsessively, buying clothes that showed off her new figure, and taking selfies in our bathroom mirror like she was building a portfolio. Last Tuesday, I was in the kitchen making coffee when I heard her friends Mia and Jordan talking in hushed voices by the back door. "Kathy's really living her best life with this whole Dean situation," Mia whispered, her voice carrying that particular tone women use when they're sharing gossip they know they shouldn't. "I know, right? Did you see his abs in that Instagram story? Girl deserves some fun after being stuck with..." Jordan's voice trailed off as she noticed me standing there with my coffee mug. "Morning, ladies," I said, forcing a smile. "Don't let me interrupt your book club discussion." They exchanged glances and suddenly found their phones very interesting. Dean. The name had been popping up in Kathy's conversations more frequently. Dean from the gym, Dean who was helping her with her fitness goals, Dean the personal trainer/Instagram influencer who posted shirtless photos with motivational quotes like "grind now, shine later," and "your only competition is who you were yesterday." I'd looked him up, of course. Dean Matthews, 32, the kind of guy who probably called protein powder a food group. Six-pack abs, perfect teeth, and the dead-eyed stare of someone who'd never read a book that wasn't about muscle building or mindset optimization. That evening, I tried one more time to connect with my wife. "Hey, want to watch a movie tonight? We could order from that Thai place you like." Kathy barely glanced up from her phone. "Can't. Meeting the girls for drinks. Mia's having drama with her boss." "Again? Didn't you just see them yesterday?" "Ben, I'm allowed to have friends. You're being clingy." Clingy. For wanting to spend time with my wife. In our house. That we both paid for. She left 20 minutes later, wearing a black dress I'd never seen before, and heels that made her legs look incredible. I watched from the window as she got into her car, then immediately pulled out her phone to text someone. She was smiling at whatever response she got. I should have confronted her then. Should have demanded the truth, asked about Dean, forced the conversation we both knew was coming. Instead, I went to my computer and did what I do best. I investigated. It took about 15 minutes to find Dean's social media accounts. The guy posted constantly. Gym selfies, protein shake reviews, motivational quotes over sunset backgrounds. And there, buried in his recent posts, was a photo from last Tuesday night. Him and 3 women at a downtown bar, all laughing at something off camera. One of the women was blonde, wearing a black dress, her face turned away from the camera but her profile unmistakable. My wife. The caption read, "Great night with great people. Sometimes the best workouts happen outside the gym. Blessed Hall Shan's living my best life." 43 likes, including one from Kathy's account. I screenshotted everything, then sat back in my chair and laughed. Not because anything was funny, but because the alternative was throwing my laptop across the room. The next morning, I decided to do some cleaning. Kathy had already left for work, claiming she had an early meeting with a client. I started with her car, thinking I'd surprise her with a wash and vacuum. That's when I found the gym bag in her trunk. Inside, a hotel receipt from last weekend when she'd claimed to be at a spa retreat with Jordan. Room 217 at the downtown Marriott. Expensive lingerie with the tags still on. And a handwritten note on hotel stationery. "K, can't wait for round 3. Last night was incredible. You're amazing. D." Round 3. I sat in my driveway, holding that note, and felt something shift inside me. The anger was still there, but it was getting organized now. Focused. I'd spent 6 years being the dependable husband, the guy who fixed things, who compromised, who tried to make everyone else happy. Time for a new approach. I moved out on a Thursday. Kathy was at another client meeting, which I now understood was code for screwing Dean in various hotel rooms around the city. I packed my essentials, left the furniture, most of it was hers anyway, and wrote a note on the kitchen counter. If you're looking for your husband, try room 217 at the Marriott. If you're looking for closure, try your conscience. The spare key is under the mat. Don't worry about forwarding my mail. I won't be hard to find, unlike some people's integrity. Ben. I crashed at my buddy Paul's place for a week while I found a decent apartment across town. Paul, bless him, had the good sense not to ask too many questions. He just handed me a beer and said, "Want to talk about it or want to plot revenge?" Why not both? By the time Kathy came home and found my note, I'd already changed my relationship status on social media, updated my address with the bank, and started the process of separating our finances. I also blocked her number, her email, and all her social media accounts. Let her wonder. The call started the next day, first from Mia, then Jordan, then Kathy's sister Lisa. All of them wanted to talk and work things out and be reasonable. I let them all go to voicemail. After listening to the increasingly frantic messages, I realized Kathy had painted me as the villain in her story. According to her version, I was controlling and emotionally unavailable and had abandoned her without explanation. Interesting spin on adultery. Meanwhile, I'd been busy. See, the thing about being an IT consultant is that you develop certain skills. Not hacking, I'm not some movie criminal, but observation, pattern recognition, and the ability to find information that people think they've hidden. Dean Matthews wasn't as smart as he thought he was. His Instagram was public, his check-ins were constant, and his routine was predictable. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m., he was at Murphy's bar downtown, holding court with his gym buddies and anyone else who'd listened to his theories about life optimization. I started showing up at Murphy's. Not to confront him, that would come later, but to watch, to learn. What I learned was that Dean was exactly the kind of person I'd expected. Loud, arrogant, and completely convinced that his minimal success as a fitness influencer made him some kind of guru. He'd buy rounds for his friends, hit on the bartender, and tell anyone who'd listen about his business ventures and investment opportunities. He also couldn't shut up about his conquests. "You guys don't understand," he said to his buddies one Wednesday night, 3 beers deep and getting louder. "This chick I'm seeing, she's married to this total loser. Guy's like a computer nerd or something. She says he's so clueless, he still does her laundry even though she's barely home anymore." His friends laughed. I sat at the bar, nursing a whiskey and taking notes on my phone. "She's got him so whipped, he probably thinks she's actually at book club when she's at my place," Dean continued. "Last week she told him she was going to some spa weekend. We spent 2 days at the Marriott downtown, room service, champagne, the works. And this idiot husband is probably at home wondering why she needs so much me time." More laughter. I ordered another whiskey and started planning. The next day, I created a fake social media account and sent friend requests to Dean, Mia, Jordan, and a few other people in their circle. I used a stock photo of a generic, attractive woman and claimed to be new in town, interested in fitness and nightlife. Within hours, all of them had accepted. People are so predictable. Over the next week, I documented everything. Photos of Dean and Kathy together at restaurants, videos of them making out in his car outside the gym, screenshots of their flirty comments on each other's social media posts. I even got audio of Dean bragging about their affair, thanks to a voice recorder app on my phone during one of his bar performances. But the best evidence came from Kathy herself. She'd started posting cryptic inspirational quotes about following your heart and living authentically. She'd also begun tagging herself at locations around the city, apparently not realizing that her husband of 6 years might notice when her girls' nights consistently happened at the same places Dean posted his own check-ins. By Friday, I had enough documentation to end her marriage, her reputation, and probably Dean's influencer career. But I wasn't ready to play that card yet. First, I wanted to have some fun. I started with Dean's precious Mustang. Bright red, immaculately maintained, with custom rims that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. He parked it in the same spot outside the gym every day, usually taking up 2 spaces because heaven forbid someone's door might touch his paint job. On Saturday morning, while Dean was inside teaching a high-intensity life transformation class, I applied a custom bumper sticker to his rear windshield. It read, "Honk if you've slept with someone else's wife," in bright yellow letters. Then I poured fish oil into his air conditioning vents. The next part of my plan required some technical skills, but nothing illegal. The gym where Dean worked had recently upgraded to a digital advertising display in their main workout area. As an IT consultant, I knew these systems were often poorly secured. A little social engineering with the gym's manager, claiming to be from the digital signage company doing a routine maintenance check, got me the access codes I needed. Monday evening, right during peak workout hours, the display that usually showed motivational fitness content started playing a different kind of video. Security camera footage from Murphy's Bar, showing Dean and Kathy in a passionate embrace in the parking lot, with audio of Dean describing their affair to his buddies. The video played on loop for 20 minutes before someone figured out how to shut it down. By then, half the gym had seen it, and several people had recorded it on their phones. I wasn't there to see Dean's reaction, but I heard about it from Paul, who knew someone who worked out at that gym. Apparently, Dean tried to claim the video was fake, then tried to blame a jealous ex, then finally just grabbed his stuff and left while people were still staring and whispering. The fish oil in his car's AC system was just a bonus. I'm told the smell was memorable, but I was just getting started. Tuesday morning, I got the call I'd been expecting. Ben, we need to talk. Kathy's voice was tight with barely controlled anger. Meet me at Rossi's at 7 tonight, and bring whatever evidence you think you have. Evidence I think I have, as if adultery was a matter of opinion. Sorry, I'm busy, I said. Maybe try scheduling it between your yoga class and your book club, or whatever you're calling it these days. Ben, I'm serious. This has gone far enough. You're absolutely right. It went far enough about 3 months ago. But here we are. I hung up and immediately called Paul. Remember how you asked if I wanted to plot revenge? Well, tonight's the season finale. Rossi's was a trendy rooftop bar downtown, the kind of place where people went to see and be seen. Kathy had chosen it deliberately. She knew I hated crowds and public scenes. She probably figured I'd be more likely to be reasonable with an audience. She was wrong. I arrived early and claimed a table near the center of the outdoor seating area. Perfect acoustics, good lighting, plenty of witnesses. I ordered a whiskey and waited. Kathy showed up at 7 sharp, and she hadn't come alone. Dean was with her, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Behind them were Mia and Jordan, probably there for moral support or to serve as character witnesses. They approached my table like they were walking into a business negotiation. Kathy sat across from me. Dean stood behind her chair trying to look intimidating, and her friends flanked them like backup dancers. Ben? Kathy began, her voice carefully modulated to sound reasonable. I think we can work this out if we just talk like adults. Adults, I repeated, taking a sip of my whiskey. Interesting word choice. Let's talk about adult behavior, shall we? I pulled out my phone and set it on the table. I've been doing some research on adult behavior lately. Want to see what I learned? Dean stepped forward. Look, man, I don't know what you think you know, but... I know you can't keep your mouth shut when you're drunk, I interrupted, looking directly at him. I know you like to brag about your conquests to your gym buddies. I know you think you're smarter than the computer nerd husband. And I know you're about to find out exactly how smart this computer nerd actually is. I pressed play on the first video. Audio from Murphy's Bar, Dean's voice clear as day describing his affair with Kathy, laughing about how clueless her husband was, detailing their weekend at the Marriott. The conversation at nearby tables started to quiet down as people realized something interesting was happening. Kathy's face went white. Ben, please, not here. Oh, now you're worried about public embarrassment? Funny how that works. I swiped to the next video. This one's my favorite. Security footage from outside the gym. Great cinematography, really captures the passion. Dean lunged forward and grabbed for my phone. Give me that. I'd been expecting this. I stood up and stepped back, and Dean's momentum carried him into the table. Glasses crashed to the floor, other diners turned to stare, and suddenly we had everyone's attention. Careful there, champ, I said loudly enough for the whole patio to hear. Wouldn't want your sponsors to see how you handle conflict resolution. Dean straightened up, his face red with anger and embarrassment. You think you're so smart? You want to know the truth? Your wife came to me. She was tired of being married to a boring loser who couldn't satisfy her. Dean, shut up, Kathy hissed, but it was too late. No, let him talk, I said. This is fascinating. Please tell everyone how you seduced a married woman. I'm sure it's a real inspiring story about personal growth and life optimization. The crowd was fully engaged now. Phones were coming out. This was going to be on social media within minutes. Dean, apparently not smart enough to recognize when he was being baited, kept going. She told me you were boring in bed, said you hadn't touched her in months, said she was thinking about leaving you anyway. Interesting, I said, pulling up another video on my phone. Because according to this hotel receipt, your first encounter was 3 months ago. And according to this text thread I recovered from her cloud backup, she was telling you she loved you 2 weeks later. But hey, maybe I'm just a boring computer nerd who doesn't understand true love. I held up the phone so the crowd could see the evidence. Screenshots of romantic texts between Dean and Kathy, photos of them together, hotel receipts, restaurant bills. Ben, stop, Kathy pleaded, but her voice was lost in the murmur of the crowd. Oh, but wait, I continued. There's more. See, Dean here isn't just a personal trainer and life coach. He's also an entrepreneur. Want to guess what kind of business he's been running on the side? I swiped to a new set of screenshots. Messages between Dean and multiple women, all married, all clients at his gym. A pattern of seduction, manipulation, and affairs. Names, dates, locations. Turns out my wife wasn't his first married client, or his second, or his fifth. Dean's been running quite the operation. I'd call it a home wrecking service, but that doesn't really capture the full scope of his business model. Dean's face had gone from red to pale. Those are fake. You doctored those messages. Did I? That's interesting, because I also have bank records showing payments from these women to your personal training business. Funny how they all paid for extended private sessions right around the time these conversations started. The crowd was getting bigger. People from inside the restaurant had come out to see what the commotion was about. Someone was definitely live streaming this. Kathy stood up abruptly. I'm leaving. This is insane. Sit down, I said, and something in my voice made her freeze. We're not done yet. I turned to address the crowd directly. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to my wife, Kathy Foster. Marketing executive, fitness enthusiast, and apparently amateur home wrecker. She's been having an affair with this gentleman, Dean Matthews, for the past 3 months. But here's the twist. Dean's been documenting everything. I held up my phone again. Turns out, Dean likes to take photos and videos of his conquests. For his personal collection, you understand? Want to see what he's been collecting? No! Kathy screamed, lunging for my phone. I stepped back again, and she stumbled into Dean, who caught her but immediately pushed her away. Don't touch me, he snapped. This is your fault. You said your husband was some pushover who'd never find out. My fault? Kathy whirled on him. You're the one who couldn't keep your mouth shut. You're the one who had to brag to everyone about your conquests. And you're the one who lied about leaving your husband. You said you were getting divorced. The crowd was eating this up. I could see people recording, taking photos, probably posting to every social media platform in real time. Actually, I said, stepping back into the conversation, since we're all being so honest now, there's one more thing you should know. I pulled up the final video on my phone. This is from last weekend, Dean's apartment, security camera from the hallway. The video showed Dean with another woman, definitely not Kathy. They were kissing passionately outside his door, clearly about to go inside. Meet Jessica, Dean's other client, also married, also convinced she was the only one, also probably watching this live stream right now. Kathy stared at the video, then at Dean, then back at the video. You were cheating on me? We weren't exclusive, Dean protested. I left my husband for you. I never asked you to do that. And there it was. The moment I'd been waiting for. Both of them screaming at each other, their affair exposed, their lies unraveling in front of 50 strangers with smartphones. I finished my whiskey and stood up. Well, this has been educational. Kathy, you can pick up your stuff from Paul's place this weekend. I'll leave it on the porch. Dean, I'd suggest updating your LinkedIn profile. Something tells me the personal training business is about to get more challenging. I started to walk away, then turned back for one final moment. Oh, and folks, I addressed the crowd. If anyone's looking for a good IT consultant, I'm available. Turns out I'm really good at finding hidden information and solving complex problems. Just ask my ex-wife. The crowd actually applauded. I walked out of Rossi's, got in my car, and drove to Paul's place. By the time I arrived, the videos were already trending on 3 different social media platforms. My phone was buzzing with friend requests, job offers, and messages from other people who'd apparently dealt with Dean's personal training services. Paul handed me a beer and grinned. So, how'd it go? Better than expected, I said. Turns out the best revenge really is living well, and maybe ruining a few lives along the way. 3 days later, Dean's gym fired him. Kathy's marketing firm asked her to take a leave of absence after the videos went viral, and I got a call from a divorce attorney who said she'd represent me pro bono because she'd seen the videos and thought I deserved better. 6 months later, I was single, debt-free, and running my own IT consulting business. Kathy was living with her sister, working part-time at a call center, and dealing with the fallout from what the internet had dubbed the rooftop revenge. Dean moved to another state and deleted all his social media accounts. And me? I learned that sometimes the best way to fix a broken system is to expose all its flaws at once, in front of as many people as possible, and let public humiliation do the rest.